Change is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has demanded, and to change the circumstances from taghut to Islam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said also, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not change the circumstances of people until they change their own circumstances. So it's got to start with us. And the way it starts with us is to think deeply about the causes and the reasons, and to understand, what does Allah want from us? Allah wants us to worship Him. And worship is not just salah and siyam and hajj and zakah, that people really exert a lot of effort in doing. But there are other also aspects that you should have the same prowess, the same effort, the same jealousy, the same zeal for as the obligations that must be there. And there is no greater obligation than the re-establishment of Islam as a way of life. Because the majority of the ahkam of Islam, the rulings of Islam, cannot be implemented without a ruler, because nobody is going to implement them for you. Also, we have to remember that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us to worship Him and to act upon the orders and fulfill the obligations and to abstain from the prohibitions that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has ordered is worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And what we seek is Jannah. How long are we going to live here for? Nothing compared to the eternity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we need to continue to think and deeply research causes of all of this. And I think the Ummah has actually got to step one, which is, it is the regimes. The regimes need to change. Now the difference is about how to change the regimes. So they've tried everything. They've tried mass demonstrations, they've tried elections, they've tried all kinds of things that they may think that this is how we should be going about it. So we then need to think about the actual solution that everybody is actually putting to the side, because that one is the one where people have to give up a lot for it. And this is where Gaza comes to it. Look what they've given up to basically just want to have dignity of being able to live. So they've given up their wives, their husbands, their children, their livelihoods. They've given a sacrifice beyond anything for the Ummah to actually see. That's why it was Al-Furqan. Because now in front of the Ummah, you could see it. So what we then have to understand is that Islam is not just an idea and concepts for life, but it actually brought the methodology for how to do it. Otherwise, it will not be a complete religion. It can't be أكملت لكم دينكم أتممت عليكم نعمتي. It cannot have been perfected unless Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us that methodology. If you say otherwise, then you're saying Islam is deficient. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala left something untold. That's just practically impossible. It is the method of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So we have to work through those. So that's deep thinking, the research of the causes, the understanding of how to change. If the intellect is then sure that this is the way to do it, then the will is born. And the will can actually manage the emotions and force it through. You have no fear for rizq because you know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala provides for you. You have no fear about death because you know the time will come. What are you going to do? Sit at home and wait for it? The iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is then ingrained in everything that you do. You have no fear. You understand qada and qadar. You understand qadar. That's it. You've got no fears anymore. And that is how the Sahaba conquered and achieved things that were beyond possible. We think of them when we read some of the stories and we think they're angels. They're not angels, they're human beings. But they understood how to do tawakkul. They understood all of those concepts I just mentioned. So then this thought, once it actually is understood and clear in someone's mind, this vision of La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah, of the state and what it looks like and what it should be, and the methodology is clear and the will is born, it exerts its influence over your emotions and directs it and becomes the fuel. That is then a burning fuel. You can't give that up. It's just not going to happen once you have that clarity. And the Ummah need to go through this. We need to go through it individually, each one of us. We need to achieve this. It becomes burning. It becomes a flame that you can't quench. And that then gives you that iron will. That gives you that power and that strength to achieve. And I think if we think of something in 2025, we want to achieve this. And if the Ummah can start this journey now, where they're at, start this journey, then we'll climb that curve back again. We'll come out of that depression. We will start to think about what is it that we actually want, and to be able to be proud of what we actually carry, and to be able to resist all of the influx of batil thoughts and ideas. As Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that, I will achieve it or I will perish achieving it.